nuestro sponsor oro, que es el Tecnológico de Monterrey, y el sponsor plata de Universidad Blas Pascal, van a presentar a la próxima disertante, que se llama Christina Zhang. Ella es CEO y founder de Metaverse Institute, y justamente nos va a acompañar desde Londres. Ahí estamos entablando comunicaciones con ella, porque ella nos va a hablar sobre el uso del metaverso para capacitación. Aprovechamos para contarles que para poder acceder a la traducción, deben seleccionar la imagen del mundo, que está abajo en el menú de herramientas, y elegir el idioma en el que prefieran escuchar la conferencia, ya sea en inglés o el canal con la traducción simultánea al español. Bueno, creo que estamos en condiciones de presentarla a Christina. Christina.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, Christina.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Just give me 1 second. My
computer
is a little bit slow. Yeah.
Muy bien, esperamos por Cristina entonces, que ahí está ajustando su transmisión, y enseguida comenzamos con esta, que es la segunda conferencia en el tercer día del Fiat 2023.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Okay.
All right, that's loading. Apologies.
All right. Is everything okay, Christina?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my presentation uploaded.
Bueno, en unos minutitos ya estamos arrancando. Cristina está ajustando su presentación. Reiteramos lo que les comentábamos recién. Cristina va a hablarnos de un tema muy interesante. Ella es fundadora de Metaverse Institute y nos va a acompañar desde Londres con esta presentación que se llama El uso del metaverso para capacitación.
Hi, can you see me now? Is it better?
Yes. Hi, Christina. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Let me just start our presentation.
Okay. You can start when you want. We are listening. Go on.
Wonderful. Hi, everyone. It's really a great pleasure to speak to you about Metaverse for training, especially looking at opportunities and challenges. I'm Dr. Christina Zhang, CEO and founder of the Metaverse Institute. Okay, let's make a start. So lots of people will tell me that the Metaverse is a new reality, but we all know that actually it's not that new. Actually, the whole concept started in 1992 when the American author Neil Stephenson coined the term metaverse in his book called Snow Crash, which envisaged a virtual reality-based successor to the internet. So in this novel, everyone will be using digital avatar of themselves to explore the online world. So that's the very starting point of the whole metaverse. And the world's first metaverse platform is called Second Life, created by the San Francisco-based company called Linden Lab, and it was launched in 2003. So that was nearly 20 years ago. And the interesting thing about the Second Life is it's not a computer game. It really provides you with a persistent virtual world where people can live, play, doing business in the virtual world, which is almost in parallel of the real world. So it has seen very rapid growth over the years. And
Christina?
Hi.
Excuse me, we don't see your presentation. We're not seeing it.
Oh, that's strange. Let me just try again. Is it showing now?
It's okay. It's okay now. Thank you.
Oh, okay, cool. So at its peak time, it actually have nearly 1 million regular users. And also it contributes about $500 million a year virtual economy. So it's quite significant. And a lot of people will be talking about virtual properties nowadays, but actually, the world's first virtual property, Millionaire, was created in Second Life in November 2006, and she can become the world's first virtual millionaire. So she was developing lots of virtual properties in Second Life and become hugely successful. So even CNN gave her a nickname called Rockefeller of Second Life. So as you can see, it's nothing new. I was very lucky to start the journey a little bit early. So in 2006, I arrived in the UK at Loughborough University, where I was doing my master's dissertation on using Second Life, the world's first metaverse platform, to develop international strategies for universities worldwide. And then I changed my subject area completely into civil and building engineering department, where I was looking at how to use digital twin, another buzzword now, in the metaverse environment to simulate, augment, and optimize real-world construction, engineering, architectural projects, which I completed in 2012 on top of a full-time elected sabbatical position of National Union of Students UK, where I was representing 1 million international and European students study at 600 higher education and further education institutions. So that was a lot of fun. But as you can imagine, because the whole concept at that time is very much new, so very few people understand what I was talking about. And some of my friends are making a joke about me and said, often they will ask me, how on earth did you get a full scholarship to do a PhD in playing computer games every day? And I have to explain to them that actually it's not a computer game, it's really the next generation of the internet. So, but they still will be like teasing me a lot. So some of them will say, actually you got a permanent head damage, which means PhD. So as you can see, when you try to be the pioneer or trying to do something entirely new, it will take time for people to understand what you are talking about. And I think it's very much the case for lots of cutting edge technology, whether it's Metaverse or AI or lots of other things. So we really need to take our time to get to know which is the best way to maximize its positive impact and minimize any risk. So the whole metaverse we're talking about now is actually the second wave of mass adoption, as I have mentioned, since 2021, when Facebook changed the name into Meta, which really got everyone extremely excited because Mark Zuckerberg at that time is fully committed to develop the whole business about Metaverse, and he's committing more than $100 billion, which get everyone very excited. But as you can see, for any kind of new technology, it's going through this kind of massive height circle. So it's lots of ups and down, and then it will come back, almost like going round, you know, in a little bit like circle, but eventually it will take some time to flourish. So as you can see from this chart, it's quite clear that the first wave was happening during the time in 2008, 5 years later of Second Life. And the second major wave is, as I mentioned, take place in 2021 with the name changing of Facebook into Meta. But of course, as you can imagine, with the recent launch of Apple Pro Vision, the new really mixed reality like handset, I think this graph actually needs to be updated. I think from 2023 onwards, we're going to have another major like rising interest about Metaverse again. So let's talk about Metaverse for the future of training. There is actually lots of really exciting opportunities here. I think the major ones is actually experiential education. We can give you quite a few interesting examples. For example, for the aviation industry, Metaverse actually has been doing a wonderful job for many decades already. The most typical example is Microsoft Flying Simulator. It has been in existence for more than 40 years, and over 10 million people already been trained. And altogether, they have using flying simulators to fly over 500 million miles. That's a lot. So that's about 10 million trips around the Earth. And if you are very into space travel, that's 200 round trips from the Earth to the Sun. So that's quite a significant impact of using Metaverse. And then another really interesting area is actually Metaverse for defense-related training. This area is very much championed by different armies in the world. And I would say one of the most significant one is actually led by the US Army. So you can see actually from 2017, they have been using Metaverse-related platform to really looking at how to provide training for synthetic training environments, which really allow like different troops to position themselves for different strategic tasks, which has been proved very efficient. But they didn't had a lot of publicity because it's all very much like low key. But the result seems to be very satisfactory. And of course, if you're based in the UK, there is a company called Improbable. They were set up in 2012 by two graduates from Cambridge University, study computer science. So what they have been doing since 2012 is actually using virtual world to create different training scenarios for different military and defense purpose. So this company has already raised more than 600 million US dollars. So they are a unicorn company, and their clients are mainly military and defense, so government, very prominent. And they have about 1,000 employees, and of them, about 200 actually specialize in defense-related training and simulation. So they are really good at using Metaverse and digital world for military, repositioning. And of course, another really prominent area for training in the Metaverse is actually to do with healthcare. There are so many really interesting examples I can talk about, but today I want to especially highlight one particular case, which really touched the very bottom of my heart. So last year in August, there is a front headline news worldwide talking about a major medical miracle taking place that was enabled by the Metaverse. So everyone knows when you have your children, you want to give them all the very best, everything you have got for them. And it's the same for the Brazilian couple. But what was so difficult and challenging is that when their twin baby were born, they noticed that they have a very special medical condition. So their brain and head are actually conjoined. So it's very, very challenging for both babies to survive. And they have take the baby going around the world, try to seek the best possible medical advice and support. And they try to feel like a medical surgery, try to separate the twins, but all failed. So in the end, they turned to a London-based top surgeon. And the surgeon told them that maybe for very complicated brain surgeries like this, they can try something a little bit adventurous, especially consider all the previous conventional treatment and surgery didn't seem to be working. And he was proposing using virtual reality-based virtual world environments to separate the conjoined twins. And so in order to maximize the success rate, what happens is because this surgery is based in London and the twins are based in Brazil, so they have worked together to get together more than 100 medical staff in both Brazil as well as in London. So they input all the medical like data of the twins in the database, and then they are wearing like VR goggles to simulate how to produce different like medical surgeries and doing various like trainings beforehand for about like 3 to 6 months to do different scenarios, say which scenario will really maximize their survival rate and minimize any life risk. So in the end, in August last year, after 27 hours, 7 surgeries involving 100 medical staff, in the end, they successfully separated the conjoined twins. And now the twins, they are recovering very well, so they should be able to live their independent and happy life ever after, which I think is really a major achievement using Metaverse for training, especially for very complicated medical surgeries. So I think this is actually the surgeon who are involved in the surgeries that this is almost like a man on Mars stuff, quite significant. Imagine this can be used for other complicated surgeries. In the future, it really can help significantly to improve the health and well-being of tens of millions worldwide. So I think there will be lots of medical related surgeries, trainings taking place in Metaverse. And of course, there are also lots of hospitals who are starting looking at how to use Metaverse to create more immersive and interactive communication and also telehospital. So one good example is actually taking place in Saudi Arabia now. So in January this year, there's major announcements by them at World Economic Forum. So they created the world's largest telehospitals. So they have more than 100 hospitals together. They're all sharing their data in one system to create really thin like data transfer and also efficiency for like different procedures. And the next step is really can be used in Metaverse to train all the many hundreds or thousands of like medical staff in the same place to provide better care in remote areas, which I think will be very important. Consider worldwide we have a very serious issue of the aging society. So our parents, our grandparents are getting older and older, and for most of us, we might not have the chance to provide full-time care to them because we are all working or like have a very busy schedule. So imagine we can use like training to provide it in the Metaverse environment for those kind of elderly care. That will really help to alleviate burden for many of us. Of course, there's going to be a lot of challenges because I mean, Metaverse, although it has been there for 20 years already, but there are still lots of IT issues we need to address. I think the first issue is actually going to be environment impact. As you can see, the ability to simulate, especially using super powerful computers to generate really high resolution, immersive and interactive digital worlds simultaneously around the world is going to consume a lot of energy. So that's actually going to be something a little bit challenging. How can we really minimize the energy consumption and carbon emission from creating those virtual worlds for training purpose? That's something we need to figure out. And also another really important thing I think is actually we need to consider why we really want to use Metaverse for training. We do it not because Metaverse is a hot word now, so we just want to follow the trend and get a little bit more publicity and get people really excited. So what I want to talk about here is there is a really interesting case now from Google. So in 2020, they started a new modular education called Career Ready Certificate. The most interesting thing about this Career Ready Certificate is actually are those 3 to 6 months online course. The employer will consider this 3 months online certificate as a 3-year or 4-year bachelor degree. So this case is going to be quite challenging for traditional university business models, because we go to university, we have a truly immersive life, very holistic, we meet new friends, and we're developing fully ready for a professional career. But now we all know worldwide we have a massive youth unemployment issue. So universities, the model provided in the traditional way is getting very challenging now. So let's imagine if you got like an 18-year-old son or daughter who is going to go to university this year or next year, would you want to pay maybe more than 20,000–30,000 pound of tuition fee for the 3-year degree plus accommodation or the other expenses? Or would you want to just maybe pay for this only 3 months online course, which is going to be equivalent to a 3 or 4-year degree? I think some people will find that choice quite difficult. And also what's really interesting about this Career Ready certificate is actually 75% of those students who actually enrolled in this certificate, later, within 6 months, they find a graduate level of jobs which pays them more than $63,000 a year. So that actually sounds like a really good investment for your own professional career. So that's why I was thinking whether or not we want to use Metaverse to do training is really depending on what's your ultimate goal. Do you want to demonstrate how forward-thinking you are by doing trainings there? Or do you find it more engaging, more immersive, or you gamify the whole process so you can have much better outcome for the learning and training? I think there is like lots of good questions need to be asked and discussed. And of course, I mean, worldwide, we already have a number of universities who have been in like Metaverse environment, especially in Second Life, like 10 years ago. So I guess, you know, if what we want to do is, it needs to, because it's really help to address the key issues you want to fill, rather than because it's a hot topic now.
Christina, excuse me, but we need to finish in 1 minute, please.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Another thing I think we need to address is on AI, because everyone knows a lot of discussion taking place now is about how AI is going to automate a lot of jobs. And for example, the godfather of AI, Dr. Jill Hinton, he's resigned from Google recently and warning that AI could soon be smarter than humans. So if that's the case, maybe Metaverse can really help us to have the training taking place in a way which is more flexible and immersed and interactive. So maybe that's like going to provide lots of really interesting scenarios moving forward. So I want to conclude my speech by quoting Albert Einstein. He said, "If I had an hour to solve the problem and my life depend on the solution, I'll spend the first 55 minutes determining the proper question to ask, because I know for the proper question I could solve, and then later, maybe it will figure out how to get things done." So I think for the future, the key for training will be asking the right question and address it, whether you're using Metaverse or other platforms. That will be very important. So thank you very much, and hope you enjoy the conference.